credit management today, it has become a life skill. Whether you're a consumer, individual, or MSME or enterprise, the growth is driven through credit. So getting that access to credit is extremely important, and that's why it has become a life skill. How your behavior with credit plays a very important role in your future, access to credit again. Something we called as, cycle of credit, right? That's something that consumers need to understand better. Proactively, if you are aware about how to responsibly manage your credit, judiciously apply for a credit, apply only when you need it, when you have credit, pay on time. So a lot of these aspects form, financial literacy and credit management as a life skill, and financial literacy together, I think can shape up a very confident, consumers and consumer who can take control of their financial journey.
Folks, welcome to Paisa Paisa. I'm your host Anupam Gupta. Let's continue our discussion on credit with the experts in the scene TransUnion CIBIL in a new series, Credit Conversations with TransUnion CIBIL. For today's discussion, we are joined with Bhavesh Jain, MD and CEO TransUnion CIBIL, and Senior Vice President and Head of the Direct-to-Consumer Business of TransUnion CIBIL, Mr. Bhushan Padkil. Today, we are going to understand what exactly credit is and how important it is to be aware of the credit environment that we function in. So, Bhavesh, as someone who has seen the credit industry evolve up close, how has the growth of financial inclusion in India impacted consumers' awareness of their credit profiles?
So it has actually evolved in a big way in more than 20-30 years, where at one point of time as a nation, credit was not the best terminology in an Indian household today, like that point of time. And today, credit is a way of life that every consumer, if he or she goes to make a purchase, they evaluate, is this available on credit or not? Whether it is the health related requirements, whether it is the consumption led purchases, or is it buying an asset like a home or a vehicle. So financial inclusion with a combination of the JAM Trinity, credit bureaus, financial institutions, all ensuring that the consumer is aware. And at the same time, it's not just the banking products or the credit products, the insurance, all the other ancillary services provided along with the banking products has reached today every Indian household, and an Indian today is largely aware, but we need to do a lot of work to make sure that they don't just be aware, but they rightfully utilize it for their day-to-day convenience.
Sure. Bhushan, has TransUnion CIBIL observed a shift in consumer behavior over the last decade regarding credit monitoring, and what are the factors driving this trend?
Yeah, first of all, Anupam, thank you for having me on this platform, and it's great to be part of this show along with Bhavesh. When you ask that question, I think the answer is not only consumer behavior, but the kind of consumers that we see in financial marketplace today, right? If you see today, and Bhavesh will agree to this, is that more and more young consumers are coming into play. More Gen Zs are participating in financial marketplace. Millennials are now the majority, when it comes to that. And, when you look at them and when you look at their characteristics, they are tech savvy, they understand technology, and financially literate also to a certain level. And with that, they are shaping the consumer behavior as well. And that's your question. And, how it is shaping up, I think the major factor that we saw is their awareness, right? They're financially aware. And what I mean by that is, just you can take a reference of our report that we publish from the D2C initiative, and which is CIBIL for every Indian. In that report, we saw that close to 12 crore individuals had access to their own score and report through various R initiatives, right? And what I mean by that is they know their score. And with that comes understanding and, some empowerment in terms of, then managing and taking that decision of credit application or, any other decision around credit confidently, right? So this is one very big, trend that we see. And the other trend that we see is participation of ecosystem as well. Not only banks and financial institutions, but a lot of technology platforms also are coming together along with industry bodies in terms of driving this great education and awareness, right? So yes, education is increasing, and I think that's big trend that we see shaping up.
You mentioned tech, right? And how does this correlate to create awareness and everything going digital? Do you think that digital platforms have contributed to this growth?
Absolutely. If you look at tech and digital, right, from consumer lens, that means easy and quick access to anything that they want to see. Now, the topic at hand today is credit education. So, if you want to know your score, and if you want to know about your credit report, and if it is easily available, then obviously the penetration and coverage of that will be higher with tech. And we have partnered with financial institutions like large banks, fintechs, and obviously with technology platforms in terms of driving this credit education to a grassroots level. Other work that we have done is with big industry association, and obviously associations like FICCI, CII, SIDBI, and other initiative is working with platforms like you. Now, access to credit score and report through your mobile and website is one part. The other is getting access to financial education, right? Look at the podcast that we are doing. It's very easy to consume. The other bit is the interactions that we have with media houses, right? We have created multiple other engagements where consumer is able to access the financial education part also, and where leaders like Bhavesh and we have also partnered with a lot of other engagements where we have been able to drive financial education initiatives. So digital is playing a role across.
Speaking about credit identity, could you elaborate on what exactly is a CIBIL score and a CIBIL report?
So CIBIL score is a 3-digit number. It ranges from 300 to 900. Higher the score of an individual, high likelihood for an individual to get access to credit in this country. And the CIBIL score is basis few parameters. The biggest one being around credit repayment history, balance build-up, utilization, credit hungriness. All those parameters go into giving an individual a CIBIL score. And today a CIBIL score is accessed by 10 crore plus individuals from us. Directly through CIBIL.com or through any of our partners. An individual today monitor their CIBIL score to ensure that when they go to an financial institution, they can get the best terms and conditions. So today CIBIL score actually becomes an trust artifact between a credit institution and a consumer.
Yeah. Bhushan, so now we know that the CIBIL score will show how reliable I am to repay my loans. Okay. And
yep.
Despite hearing CIBIL score so many times, many don't know what it really is. Because Bhavesh has explained that. Drawing from that, how important do you think financial literacy is and the necessity to simplify complex credit concepts every day for the consumers?
Yeah, so I think what Bhavesh spoke, just to add to that, financial literacy will have to do with how to maybe what goes in credit score and what goes in credit report, how to read it, and how bankers meaningfully look at that when it comes to making those credit decisions. And for consumers as such, right, it actually impacts a lot of their life decisions as such, correct? Now simple ways to understand credit score is like, it's a score. Now we are a cricket nation. We know how bigger the score is, bigger it is, better it is, right? So similarly for consumer, bigger the score is or closer they are to 900, better it is for them, right? But for consumer, from financial literacy point of view, more aspect like budgeting, saving, and coming to something that we do on a day-to-day basis, right? Deal with credit management today, right? It has become a life skill. And for most of our country, whether you're consumer, individual, or MSME or enterprise, the growth is driven through credit. So getting that access to credit is extremely important, and that's why it has become a life skill. Now, But accessing to credit and how to access it, how to be responsible about it, and how your behavior with credit plays a very important role in your future access to credit again, right? Something we called as cycle of credit.
Yeah.
Right? That's something that consumers need to understand better. Now there are, if you see the analogy of, let's say, when internet came in, right? When young consumers got internet access to internet, they did everything with it but for a productive purpose, correct? Similarly for credit, imagine if you get access to credit and you don't know how to responsibly behave with it, right? It can actually have a negative impact on you, right? But proactively, if you are aware about how to responsibly manage your credit, judiciously apply for a credit, apply only when you need it, when you have credit, pay on time, because your repayment track is one of the biggest factor, like Bhavesh said, which lenders see. And it actually kind of contributes to your score. So a lot of these aspects form financial literacy, and credit management as a life skill, and financial literacy together, I think can shape up a very confident consumers, and who can take control of their financial journey.
So, Bhushan, you made the point about financial awareness. Let's take it one step further to financial education. What impact does financial education have on long-term consumer behavior?
Perfect. So, Bhavesh mentioned earlier, and I also mentioned initially, about so many consumers getting access to their own score and reports as such. And again, reiterating point, you can get access to score and report through our CIBIL.com, our website, through few easy steps, and also you can download our app on Android and Apple devices as such, right? And get access to your score and report. Now coming to your question, when it comes to long-term consumer behavior and the impact of financial literacy, what we have seen is many of these consumers, more than 12 crore consumers who got access to their own score and report, we have seen that every second consumer actually ended up improving their score, right? Or maintain a very good score. Now what it shows, it's like a health report. When you pull the health report, when you see that you're overweight, you will actually make some conscious decisions about bringing it under control, right? Similar goes with credit score. Once you know what your score is, once you know your credit report, right, you will end up doing certain things which will help you build that right score.
Sure.
Right. So I think the first step is awareness when it comes to improving your financial life as such, right? So awareness is first step, and that's where financial literacy helps, right? So getting access to credit score and report, how to read credit score and report and what goes into it, right? And then taking those necessary steps so that in future when you have credit needs, you can deal with it very confidently.
Okay.
I think that's the long-term impact that people will see. And the other aspect, Anupam, is credit score and report, and Bhavesh said very beautifully that it's a trust artifact, right? Now, if it is a trust artifact, it is not only used in lending decisions, right, or when credit applications are there, but if you are MSME, you are making project plans, right? Even there, in project approvals, it is considered. When you are applying for a very important key jobs, in a lot of those places, this becomes a very important artifact that is referred, right? So it is part of your life, right? So it goes in a long way. Financial literacy will go in a long way,
Sure.
when it comes to consumers.
Bhavesh, let's look at the cohort who form the spending generation today, right? Gen Zs. How do you think they will interact with their credit profiles and manage debt?
So, Anupam, I keep joking in the organization that I am a Gen Z myself.
Okay.
Factually, I'm not. But then it's interesting to connect with that generation. And I'll relate it back to your question. They are a mobile first generation and who have been born and brought up with access to credit for their family members. Now they have got access to credit, and most of them would have not visited a bank or NBFC's branch. Okay. For them, it's the mobile, it's the social media exposure. It's exposure to these amazing podcasts like yours that they get to learn. Now, what has happened in the process is that the Gen Z have actually got and consumed lot of these services, both for their own goods and for monitoring purposes. Now, of the consumption loan happening on an annualized basis in the recent time, 50% is actually the Gen Zs who take these consumption loans. And the biggest one being in terms of the consumer durables or consumer finance. So almost a large proportion of the phones in the country are actually on finance basis.
Okay.
And the Gen Zs are one of the big purchasers of these mobile phones. Hence, they have got exposed to credit at the early stages of their lifetime. Second is in terms of the population which is monitoring credit with CIBIL. Upwards of 1/3 is actually Gen Z. So through various mediums, they've got exposed to not just credit, but to also credit monitoring habits, which is a very good sort of culture to have it in the nation, that Gen Zs are actually monitoring their CIBIL score on a regular basis because they know that responsible credit sahi hai.
Sure.
And that's a very, very positive sign for us as a nation, because Gen Zs like me are going to be leading their sort of activities at home or on their business front or the professional journeys. So it's important that the Gen Zs continue to monitor the credit. And my advice to all the Gen Zs would be that please ensure that you take credit when you need it and you be responsible around the credit you take.
Very interesting and very important. Bhushan, so now assuming that the education has reached the right years, let's talk about the tools that make financial inclusion possible. What role does direct to consumer play in enhancing financial inclusion by making these tools accessible and actionable for a wider audience?
We touched upon this particular question through previous answers also.
Yeah.
But if I have to reiterate, direct-to-consumer initiative, the name itself suggests, it's an extremely important initiative for us at TransUnion CIBIL because, it gives us opportunity to engage with consumers directly, right? We have various touch points. I spoke about, and Bhavesh also spoke about CIBIL.com, our website. It not only gives you access to your own credit score and report, but it has wealth of information and resource and our educative content around various aspects of credit management and financial literacy as such, right? So that's one. Second is our app. CIBIL app is available both on Android and Apple devices. Few clicks and you have access to your score and report. What is extremely important is, and I really want audience to take a note of it, is we have one free annual credit report available for all individuals.
Okay.
Right. So I urge, audience who are listening to this podcast to go to CIBIL.com, to go to download our CIBIL app and get access to that free annual credit report and, be aware of your credit score and report. Other initiative is we also partner with financial institutions in making sure that they are aware about, their consumers are aware about their own score, their report. And we also do a lot of, education initiative with financial institutions. We have been part of their, content, their consumer education books that they have done, or, the outreach, consumer outreach around financial literacy. We have worked together in those collaborations as such. And the other aspect is some important initiatives that we drive. Again, reiterating, we work extensively with industry leaders and industry associations like SIDBI, FICCI, CII, platforms, technology platforms. Another important aspect is some of the initiatives like Seher initiative, where we are working alongside Niti Aayog in empowering women consumers, right, through creating content around financial literacy and giving them access to their own, credit tools as such. So all this is tremendously helping in, driving financial literacy deep. and I think the results are there to see. We have seen close to 12 crore consumers getting access, and we see this accelerating. We see that there is a clear acceleration. And Bhavesh spoke about Gen Zs. There is a lot of Gen Zs. They are CTOs and chief influencers of their families, and thankfully they have access to credit now with these digital tools, and they are helping us drive that narrative even further. Other important aspect is once consumer get access to their literacy and these tools, what they do with it, again positive signs with a lot of consumers improving their score, and being confident about credit as such.
Great. So, in conclusion, Bhavesh, first you, any parting words for our audience today?
So I would say keep monitoring your credit report and your CIBIL score on a regular basis,
Sure.
because the way going forward will be through availability of credit. As a consumer, you can get the best terms and condition basis your CIBIL score and your good repayment behavior. And as Bhushan rightly mentioned, please come on CIBIL.com or download the CIBIL app. You are entitled as a citizen of this country to get one credit report free every year.
Sure.
So monitor your credit, monitor your CIBIL score, and be responsible about credit, because responsible credit sahi hai.
Yeah. Bhushan, any closing words for our audience?
We spoke about financial literacy, various tools through which audience can today, or consumers can today get access to their own score and report, and financial literacy, they can improve upon it through various content, which is available at CIBIL.com, on CIBIL Op, and various platforms as such, and listen to this podcast.
Sure.
And other important aspect is further to what Bhavesh said, is apply to credit judiciously only when you need it. Pay on time every single time, because having a good profile is not like a sprint, it's like a marathon, right? Small consistent effort will go a long way, and credit is like a cycle. You do good, right? You get good at it, and your credit opportunities increase, right? So that's what I will leave audience with.
I like the comparison with physical health and financial health. Well, this has been an insightful conversation. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing your expertise with our listeners today. To everyone tuning in, remember that your CIBIL score is not just a number, it's a reflection of your financial health. So stay informed and take steps to improve it. Thank you for tuning to Paisa Vaisa. We'll be back with more such interesting conversations in the next episode of Credit Conversations with CIBIL. Until then, stay smart with your credit.